Hi. So today I thought I'd make a video explaining why the Stuarts are my favorite English dynasty, because I hadn't made a video of why so and so was my favorite so and so. So I thought I haven't made it in a while, so I thought I'd make another one. And I have to talk about the Stuarts. I haven't done many videos on the Stuarts. Done one. But it's just because I don't know where to start. The Stuarts are pretty much, I mean, they're awesome. Yeah, the Tudors, they deserve a lot of the hype, but the Stuarts are kind of forgotten in that sense because they're right next to the Tudors, so they kind of get overshadowed. The Tudors are definitely the most famous dynasty, but the Stuarts, I think, they deserve a lot more recognition. So let's just start with James. Let's just go in order. James, he was an LGBTQ plus king, quite uncommon, like openly LGBTQ. He had an affair with the Duke of Buckingham, and he was the first guy to really unite England and Scotland. He prosecuted witches, and he wrote the King James Bible. Pretty awesome. And he's also King James VI and King James I. And I'm going to skip Charles I for reasons you'll see later. I'm going to talk about him later. I'm just going to skip him now. Oliver Cromwell, same thing. Charles II, he had so many kids. So many. None of them legitimate. He's called the party king for a reason. And his wig, let me tell you, his wig is exquisite. But yeah, he did manage to stabilize the country after the Civil War. And I don't know, his whole vibe just gives me, and I like him for some reason. And during his reign, you have the plague, the Great Fire of London. Quite interesting stuff. Then you have James II. Now, James II, I like him for two reasons. First of all, it's him, and him being deposed that led to the Jacobite Rebellion in 1715 and 1745. But, I mean, he's also a Catholic, and that kind of disrupts the whole Protestant line. But the reason James II, he stands out so much for me, is because when he was fleeing London after he was deposed, he took the royal seal with him because he thought, okay, no one can actually do anything without the royal seal. So he took it with him, and then he threw it in the river, in the Thames, as he was running away. Because if it's at the bottom of the Thames, no one can get it. And so, no one can be king. Yeah, that didn't work out. Anyway, then we have William III and Mary II. I'm pretty sure they're the only joint monarchs in all of English history. They're known as joint monarchs. And, I mean, their reign is quite awesome. You have the Glorious Revolution right at the start. You have the Bill of Rights, which served as the inspiration for the American Bill of Rights, which is arguably more famous, although no credit is given to the English version. And you have the Act of Succession, which passed after there was this royal family person called Sophia, and the throne after William and Mary died because they didn't have kids, and if they didn't have kids, would go to her because she was Protestant, but because she died, it would go to George of Hanover, future George the First. Of course, I mean, that is assuming that Anne, who would inherit the throne, she would die childless, which she did. And that's what happened. And then with Anne, she's also quite awesome in the sense of she did the Act of Union. Anne's reign, I've read about it, I've investigated it, and I haven't seen anything that really stood out for me. Her reign, at least from my point of view, is kind of uneventful in the sense of the only thing that really stood out was the Act of Union, which is a huge thing. I mean, it literally founded Britain. I mean, but apart from that, but yeah. The reason I love the Stuarts, like the main reason, because everything I've mentioned contributes to it, the main thing is the Civil War. And I just feel that it doesn't get the appreciation it deserves because yeah, everyone talks about the American Civil War. What about the English one? The English Civil War was just one of the most important events in English history, and it kind of gets overlooked. And I really don't understand why. I studied, well, in year 4, we only did the Tudors. In year 5, we only did the Tudors. In year 8, we did do the Tudors and the Stuarts. But we kind of, we did the Civil War, but we didn't really stop and really look at it. And the reason I've become so fascinated by the Civil War is because when I was younger, year 4, year 5, my mom, she bought me this book that was about the Tudors and the Stuarts. Now, the Stuarts were there, but I didn't really know anything about them because not really relevant to me at that time. So I remember flicking through it and seeing the pictures relating to Civil War, and it was so interesting. I genuinely didn't understand why I didn't know more about this. And so in year 8, I was really excited when we did the Civil War, but we spent so much time during the English Reformation, which I already knew quite a bit about, and not enough time during the actual Stuart Dynasty. So in year 13, I decided to do my history coursework on the Stuarts. And it gave me an excuse to read more about the Civil War, and oh my god, it is so worth it. So let's just start with the main thing that you need to know about the Civil War. Parliament won. And why do we know that Parliament won? Well, King Charles I ended with his head separated from his body. There's this one painting that really sends me the chills. It's Charles I's body lying there and Oliver Cromwell observing. Second thing I love about the Civil War is Oliver Cromwell's role. Now, Oliver Cromwell is, I don't like him. My outlook on history is just, I can like historical figures even though they're pure evil. For example, Goebbels. I like them in sense, like, I respect them as a historical figure, not as a person. Because, horrible person. Oliver Cromwell is just one of those people I can't stand. I just, no. No. But he's so really interesting. People see him as, well, he overthrew the king, set up the Protectorate and the Commonwealth, and I don't know, the contemporary view on him, at least pre me doing my actual research, the one that I had, that I thought, this is what I genuinely thought about Cromwell, he was this kind of president, democratic way. But if I'm reading, he was a dictator. He was literally a dictator. He was a king in all but name. I just know the atrocities he did in Ireland. He banned Christmas. He was a full-on Puritan. He's so really fascinating, though. Like, you don't really have that in English history apart from Cromwell. You have like crazy kings, but you don't have a full-on dictator. And here you have one in the 17th century. And it just gets overlooked. And there's people who do history don't even know about this. And the thing that really takes the cake is the whole, beheading of Charles, but the death warrant. The death warrant is one of the most important pieces of most important documents in all of English history. And this book I was talking about before has a whole page dedicated to it. It's a children's book. It's not very detailed, but I remember that image of the death warrant stuck in my head, of Oliver Cromwell's signature and his stamp. And that was a document, like that picture, that made me want to read more. I don't really know, I've forgotten how many people signed it. I knew, but I think it was 59 or something. Not sure though, don't quote me on that. But people signed the death warrant. There were supposed to be more, but some were reluctant. Oliver Cromwell actually put pressure on members of parliament to sign the warrant. And then, well, the three main guys, a lot of people signed it, but Oliver Cromwell and two other guys, they died prior to the Restoration. Restoration is the term given to the 1660, that time, when Charles did the Declaration of Breda, and when he really returned, Charles II, when he really returned to England and claimed the throne. And the thing, he obviously prosecuted the people who signed the warrant because they killed his father. And he executed some, hanging, drawing, and quartering, the most brutal punishment, one reserved for treason. He puts people in jail, whole bunch of stuff. But the piece that really takes the cake, I've said that before, but of course, I mentioned how Cromwell, he died in 58. His son succeeded in 59, but kind of got overthrown by the New World Army. Well, Cromwell was dead, and the other two guys I told you about, dead again. But Charles wasn't going to let it slide. He wasn't going to let, because they were dead, stand in his way. So, he dug them, not him personally, but he ordered them to be dug up, hanged, drawn and quartered, and then Cromwell's head. Just please Google Oliver Cromwell's head. Please Google it. It just went around the country for so long. It's crazy. And then, if I forget, another thing I love about the English Civil War is the armies, the Cavaliers versus the Roundheads. Now, I never pick sides in history, like in a war, because it's hard because, I don't know, I don't like to pick sides. I don't like to think, oh, this guy should have won, because there's perspectives, there's a whole lot of factors, but I just don't like Parliament and their army in this period, because I don't like the clothes they were wearing. I don't know. The Cavaliers, though, they were quite elegant, and the wigs. They literally named a dog breed after them. I've talked about it in another video. And yeah. That is a very quick summary of why I love the Stuart period. You have a quick summary. James. Scottish. Came from Mary Queen of Scots. Whole witch trap deal. LGBTQ. Then you have Charles Civil War. Cromwell Civil War again. Charles II Restoration. James II throwing the royal seal into the Thames. William and Mary. Glorious Revolution. Bill of Rights. Act of Succession. and Queen Anne, the Act of Union. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. So I'm gonna leave it there. Hope you liked it. I found it interesting, and yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.